In this video, I will be going through a list of Soprano characters that I like. And then in two other videos, I'll do the ones that I hate and the ones that I dislike. I don't really love any of them because at the end of the day, most of them I'm like mobsters, gangsters, mafia, all that. But there are some that I like. So starting off, I'm going to go with Adriana Lacerda. Adriana always had a smile on her face. She was good looking. She was nice. I didn't like what ended up happening to her, but Adriana Lacerda is definitely one of the people that I like. So I got her on that list. This is probably my favorite character out the whole series, Meadow Soprano. Because she always tried to do what was right. She told Tony when he was wrong, what he was doing, when the government was wrong, all that. It was really only one time I was mad at Meadow was when her and Finn were arguing that time. If I did have a love option, she would be like one of the only, maybe one or two people would be on the love list, and Meadow would definitely be on that list. Next on the list, I have Silvio Dante. Silvio Dante is second in command behind Tony. Silvio really is, he more laid back. He really only gets angry when like his money is involved, like gambling, or that time he went over Ralph Cifarella's house to get Tracy. But I got Silvio on my list. Next, I'm going to go with Corrado Jr. Soprano. Uncle Junior had a lot of like moments where he said some funny stuff. It was some moments why he made me mad, but for the most part, I like Junior's character. So next on the list, I would say Dr. Jennifer Melfi. She was Tony's psychiatrist. She stuck with Tony for a long time, way longer than she probably should have. But she was a good character. I'm surprised she didn't tell Tony when she was assaulted that time. Next, I got Svetlana. Svetlana is one of my favorite characters. She lost her leg at a young age. She had a prosthetic leg, but she never let that stop her from getting things done. That's why Tony really liked her, and that's why he started messing with her, and that's why Carmela was him and Carmela got into it because of Svetlana. Next on my list, I'm gonna go with Valentina. Valentina was messing with Ralph Cifarello at first, but she really didn't want to mess with Ralph because Ralph was into some weird stuff. So she started messing with Tony. She had like a bursting personality. She was real fun and funny. I liked Valentina until she got in that accident. Next on the list, Finn DeTrovio. That was Meadow's boyfriend, then fiance. Finn was just the innocent guy trying to do the right thing. He didn't really know what was going on with the whole mafia thing and all that. But Finn was a good guy. I liked him. Next, I'm going to go with Jenny Sacramone. This is John Sacramone's wife. She was like, she didn't really get into it with anybody, really. She was more laid back and stuff, too. Even after John had his situations and stuff, she always cared about her family. After Jenny, I got Hugh DeAngelis. This is Carmelo's father. He really liked Tony, even though Carmelo's mother hated Tony. The father, he really always tried to do what was best for Carmelo, and he liked Tony, but his wife, I'll get to her later in another video. So, Vin McCazian, he was in season 1. He was like the police officer that was like a dirty cop that was helping Tony with stuff. He was good for what he doing. He wasn't a private investigator, but he was doing that type of stuff for Tony. I liked him in season 1. Dick Barone. Dick Barone was the sanitation person mainly in like season 1 and 2. Where he got into it with Richie Aprile. He told Tony about Richie Aprile and that Richie was selling drugs and all that type of stuff. But Dick Barone, I had no problem with his character. He was a good character. Next, Artie Bucco. Artie Bucco, the main thing he really cared about his restaurant. He would do anything for his restaurant. Him and Tony grew up together as kids, went to school together. That was probably Tony's best friend was Artie. Now, Artie's wife, however, Charmaine, she tried to keep Artie grounded and tried to teach him, stay away from the mafia people. And we run a legitimate business. Why you always got the mafia people in here eating and stuff like that? She only had Artie's best intentions. That's why I liked her character. She just didn't want to see Artie get hurt or threatened or anything. Next, this is one of my favorite characters. This is probably my top 5. Bobby Baccalaureate. He was very loyal to his wife. He loved his family. In the beginning, they made Bobby out to be like a dumb character. Then over time, he became one of the best characters in the whole series. But he was one of my favorite. This is also one of my favorite. Anthony Tony B. Blundetto, the animal. Tony B. He was funny. He always cracked jokes. That's why him and Tony got into it, because he cracked jokes on Tony, and Tony felt embarrassed in front of people and stuff like that. But Tony B, he was the voice of reason. He always tried to help people. He's definitely one of my favorites. Next, I got Rosalie April. This is Jackie April Sr.'s wife, who was the Don before he died. She was always like, she was a good-looking lady, too. And then she basically lost her whole family for the most part, but she was one of my favorites. Carmine Lupertazzi Jr. This is little Carmine, the son of the mafia boss. I really didn't have any problem with him. He was jealous of Tony, though, when Carmine trying to kind of call Tony his son, like his son. But Carmine was all right. Albert Barris, he was a cool character. He was more laid back. You really didn't see him a lot. Like, you saw him, but it wasn't as much as you saw like Richie April and Vito and all of them. But he was a good character. After Albert, I'm gonna go with his brother Lawrence Larry Boy Reese. He kind of like his brother was more laid back. He ended up getting sent to jail though, but then I think he got out and it was on like house arrest and stuff like that. But he was a good character. I didn't have anything bad about him. Then you got Jackie April Sr. He had cancer and he ended up passing away, but like, he was more of a calm boss. He didn't like yell and raise his voice or anything like that. Like Tony. He was basically the opposite of Tony. Tony is more angry. Jackie wasn't like that. So after Jackie, I'm going to go with Gigi. Gigi was one of Tony's capos. He ended up passing away. Him and like Ralph Cifarelli, Vito, all of them, that was his crew. He was a good character. He the one that killed, though? Neil Mink. Neil Mink was Uncle Junior's lawyer. He was a good lawyer. He was funny to me. Like, he knew what he was doing. That's why I have him on the list of likable characters that I liked. But Neil Mink. So after Neil, I go with Peter Beansy Gator. So I guess Richie April and Beansy got into it. Richie must have like gave him some money or something before he went to jail to help his business and all that. And then when Richie got out of jail, he wanted some payback. He wanted part of Beansy business. Beansy didn't want to give it up, so Richie did what he had to do to Beansy. Next on the list, I got Furio Gunter. Furio was a killer, but he had like good intentions for other things when he wasn't killing people. Like, he really cared about his father. He cared about Carmela. He did have a dislike for Christopher Columbus. He had no problem with like heavier set women. So Furio was definitely one of my favorite characters. John Sacramone, Johnny Sack, he was probably in my top 5 favorite characters. John Sacramone and Bobby were like the only ones that didn't cheat on their wives. They loved their families unconditionally. They never cheated on their wives at all. Until that stuff happened with Tony B, John Sacramone was more even killed. But once that happened, well, especially like the Jenny Sack joke, that really went over the top. Next on my list, I have Blanca Salgado. She wasn't in the series for a long time, but she got engaged to AJ when AJ was working at the construction site. But she ended up breaking with him. She mainly thought because he was too young. She was Dominican. For me, it was she's on my list because to me, like, she was probably the best looking character on the entire series. Like, I don't think there was any other character that looked better than her. So that's mainly why I got her on my like list. And last, I'm going to go with Reverend Herman James. He was trying to do good and stuff, passing out turkeys and stuff. He was a preacher. Him and Tony, they worked together, even though Tony was kind of like racist. But I got Reverend James on my like list. And basically, that's all the characters that I really liked on The Sopranos. Again, in my other videos, I'm about to do the ones that I disliked and the ones that I hated. So let me know in the comment section if any of these characters you didn't like, or make sure you check out my other videos that I'm about to upload soon about who I disliked and who I hated, because there's a lot of those characters. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel, like and comment. More videos coming soon. Trey T out. Peace.